Snatcher is a cyberpunk graphic adventure game. This was developed and published by Konami in 1988, and it was written and designed by Hideo Kojima, which you probably know from the Metal Gear Solid, Death Stranding series, just to name a few of his great games. Now, this was originally released on the NEC PC 8801 and the MSX2, both in 1988. Then in 92, the PC Engine Super CD-ROM. In 1994, the Sega CD Mega CD. And then in 1996, the Sony PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Now, all those except the Sega CD were released in Japan, and they're all in Japanese. All of the text is Japanese, so the only way to get an English version of this game is to get the Sega CD edition of that. The Sega CD one is the one we're going to be talking about, since I only speak English, and that's the one that I have. Snatcher is kind of like a menu-based interface where you pick different things, like you to examine an item, you search a room, you talk to different characters, and you also explore and do different actions throughout the game. It gives you a slight list of different things you can do, like look, investigate. You can show people different things that you have in your possession. You can save at any time. You can make phone calls. So there's like a little list of text, and you go up and down and you pick them accordingly based on what's going on in the room, at the point in the story, what's happening, etc. Now, with the Sega CD edition, this one has a light gun, which no other version of the game uses the light gun. So it adds a little bit more action into the game. I think that might have been shoehorned in at the very last minute when they were porting this over to the West here. And with older light games, there is a little bit of a trickiness with it, and I'm playing my backup on the Nintendo Wii, so I have to kind of shoot a little bit higher based on just the TV and everything going on with it. But it works pretty good still. There are some tricky parts using it, but some people say just use the controller, but I think it adds a little bit more fun to the game having the gun. So my Sega CD isn't up and running right now, so I'm just using my Nintendo Wii to play a backup copy, legally a backup copy. And if you want to know how to do all that stuff, I'm sure there's plenty of videos on YouTube that can show you how to do that, but it plays the same as if it was playing through the Sega CD. So there's really no loss of any kind of gameplay or anything like that. And like I said, I'm using the light gun, so it's working still. The story is a mix of like Blade Runner, the Terminator, and the anime Akira, and I think it's just a really cool combination. You've got really strong story going with characters you actually care about, and just it keeps you coming back for more each time you figure out more of the story, because this is kind of like a mystery detective type story. You just want to keep playing to get more involved, and you're more emotionally invested in this. So the story takes place in the mid 21st century, and there's this insane kind of biological catastrophe that wipes out like 50% of the human population. And then 50 years, ahead, now there's these strange humanoid robots that are called Snatchers that are killing humans and then using their skin as a disguise and then replacing them in society. So there's a lot of hysteria going on, but there's also a Junker task force called they're called Junkers. That's the name of them, and they hunt Snatchers, and you take on the role of the main protagonist, Gillian Seed. I really don't want to give away too much of the actual plot or anything like that, but rest assured that this is a really engrossing game. It is not what you're probably used to. It's more of like it's not point and click, but it's kind of like you're clicking on different decisions and investigating and trying to push the story forward. Though, like I said, with the Sega CD version, they do kind of put in some light gun shooting to add a little action, which isn't bad. It doesn't feel that out of place. I know some people don't really like it in there, but I think it's pretty cool. The music in the game is really neat. It's not too repetitive because there's so many different tracks, but man, it's just really cool. It just really adds to the whole vibe and feel of the game. And I see that they've repressed it, or I don't know if there was ever an original pressing for it, but they have put it on vinyl. I also see that they've put it on cassette tape. It's definitely something you really want to check out. Even if you don't play the game, you should really check out the original soundtrack for this game because it's really good. There has been some different changes made to the Sega CD version as opposed to the original source material. There is like more nudity, and there's some like perverted jokes, typical like kind of Japanese stuff that you would see in like anime. There's a little bit more gore and gross stuff, and there's a part in like a bar or a nightclub where there's different characters, like outlines, silhouettes of them, and they took those out because they really didn't want to get any kind of copyright stuff against them. Apparently, Hideo wanted the PC floppy disks to be coated with some kind of chemical that when they would get warm in the computer, they'd let off almost this smell of blood like you were at a crime scene. So that was pretty cool. Hideo was always really interested in kind of like breaking the mold, I think, with any kind of video game experience, especially if you've played Death Stranding, which was just totally mind-blowing, just what he did with everything in that game. I know some people really don't like that game, but if you're a huge Hideo fan, I don't see how you don't love it. It's just more of his weird stuff that he just makes. So Snatcher is released in the USA 1994, I believe February, and it really didn't sell very well. Probably just wasn't what the public was really looking for. It's a different kind of game, and video games back then, you know how that was. 1994, you're probably not really looking to play like a menu-based investigating game. You're probably looking to play Mortal Kombat or a light game. I mean, you're using a Sega CD. So it didn't sell a lot, so they didn't make a lot. This has become a real problem for people now because the only way to play this in English, like I said, is on Sega CD. If you go on eBay or anywhere trying to buy this game, I've seen it going for $1,499 all the way up to like $2,000. And there's auctions even as I speak going right now where it's getting bids and it's up to like $1,000. So, like I said, if you have a copy of this, you should probably hang on to it. But if you can't, like I have, my Sega CDs down, I have to use a backup. So like I said, use your Wii if you have one and you can play this game. I guess also the bad sales in the Sega CD was because it was later on in Sega CD's lifespan that this was released. And again, you know, you look at the cover art, you can't really tell what you're looking at. I know when I first looked at it, I was kind of like, everybody's talking about this game. What is this even about? I mean, what a weird name for one, Snatcher. I was like, what the hell? Like, this sounds like some kind of sexual porno thing. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, all right, it's like a detective, and it looks kind of like Blade Runner almost. But from first, you know, look, you're really confused by it, so that probably didn't help either. Now, I find that it's just slightly tedious going through the menu interface at times. I don't think it's perfect, but overall, I don't think that they give you too much where you're just like, holy cow, this is going to take me 10 minutes to go through each one of these menus. It's not too bad. It's pretty well balanced. The graphics are all kind of anime type animation. There's really good voice acting. There's a really deep storyline. It's really good. I think if you can get your hands on this, if you have the money to buy it for the Sega CD, if you speak English, you should definitely get it. If you speak both, Well, I would say go look and buy one for a different system, but you probably don't have the system to run it. Those are some pretty weird, obscure Japanese systems, but those ones are typically a little bit cheaper, more or less under $100. Overall, I think this was one of the best Sega CD games there is. I think it's overall a great game. His storytelling is always really good, and just the little funny stuff. You'll have like really funny dialogue moments that have me chuckling, and it's just that different Hideo humor that just really makes this a special game. I mean, I guess if all else fails, you can always watch a full playthrough of it in English on YouTube. But I hope that this brought a new game to you. I don't know too many people that know about this game. I just learned about this game recently, and I love Hideo. So I hope that you found this at least kind of fun to watch for a few minutes and informative. And I'll be sure to be making more of these essential 1980 video games you have to play videos in the future. Thanks. Take it easy.